SEO, but how specifically did you make that happen?
Started going filming and broadcasting and being knowledgeable. And as a result of that, knowing new construction, Hughes Corporation owns all the land in Las Vegas area called Summerlin, is where they build. It's the most popular, basically master plan community in the whole U.S. It's like number 3 now, I think. And so I went out in the field and started getting to know all these new home developers, and I know construction. So I started filming them. They actually voted for me with this contest they had 2 years in a row as the most knowledgeable realtor in Summerlin because I knew new construction inside and out. And most of them were so disappointed that agents would come in and sign themselves up for a home and never see anybody but close it. And to me, I didn't believe in that. I wanted I knew mistakes happen in construction. So I wanted to be the white glove guy and guide clients through the process. So we did a lot of video out in the field when it was dirt. I also got my drone pilot license later and started flying over the dirt. We did a lot of things to help people know because we knew 70% of the people coming to Las Vegas are relocating. They have no idea where you're talking about or where to live. So we use these tools to help them get information and have perspective of here are the locations, here's why you want to choose this. So you became an information go-to person, and that generated a ton of leads and still does.
Okay. So what does the next year look like for you? Like what's 25 look like as far as, balancing the new leads versus referrals?
Well, it's changed dramatically. And in fact, sadly to say in the business, it's become with TikTok and everything else. Some of my agents are millennial age, so I mean they're a wide age here. So I work with them as well in all this. And it's become what I call very surface type of stuff. You have pictures flying by you 90 miles an hour, a lot of music, but what information does that really convey to you? And so the last several years, I have gotten really, really disappointed with the real estate business because I felt like sellers were not represented properly. No one previews homes anymore. They show up at your door when you're a listing agent and don't even know where they are. They haven't even seen the house. They don't even know. So how do they represent their buyers, right? Very well. So I stepped back over 2 years ago and said something's got to change. And the leads were starting to change also because agents were getting leads off of social media, of course, Instagram or even LinkedIn. You can do it, but everybody was down playing the game, right? And I stepped back and said, well, let's rethink all of this. And what's the real problem? The problem is we saw sellers were getting a very poor level of service. And so I talked to some of my high net worth clients and I said, if you could do this differently, what would you do? And every one of them said consistently, nobody even knows what we've done, why we bought the house, what was the passion in it, what was behind it, what parts of the house did we use, why did we choose a location? No one asked anything. They just show up and give us the offer and we're happy. And I said, well, don't you think you're being maybe cheated in a way? You're not getting the best offer you could get if you had a passionate, emotional connection with the property. And they said, yeah, but no one's doing that. And the portals, I won't name them on this, but the portals, which everybody knows, were out there now starting to be the main search places people would go, but they were just the same thing, right? You had to go through a very archaic method to search for properties, especially luxury properties. And they really didn't give you much information other than the standard stuff, right? Price, square footage, those kind of things. So AI suddenly comes on the forefront. And I looked at that and I thought, I don't know. And then the more I started getting into it, and I saw people running down the path fast they could with ChatGPT, I said, that's all cool, but that's such a low-hanging fruit thing. What can we do to really change this whole paradigm that I was facing about what to do about sellers, right? So I sat down and I looked at it and I said, if we could find a way to embrace the seller and help the buyer like close their eyes and immerse themselves into that home, wouldn't they pay top dollar for that? So I set out looking for companies that were in the AI space, and oh my God, it was so overwhelming. You would talk to them, and they'd say, well, here we have these 40 parts of AI. It was a large LLM. At that time, they're using all the acronyms, LLM, this and that. And I'm like, okay, but how do I put all that together? I don't understand the bigger picture of this mess. And there was so much selling ChatGPT stuff that it was a nightmare. Well, it turned out one of the companies I discovered, actually they're a company out of India, but they also have offices in Orlando and other places, was Core.ai. It was a Kore.ai. And I'm not making a pitch for them. It's just really, it was a company that had one person in their company as a consultant that actually understood me and knew what I was trying to accomplish above and beyond even what their own company offered, which is interesting. So he sat down with me and he said, you know what, I'm so intrigued with this. I'm going to see if my manager will let me dedicate what we're doing to you. So I did a request for proposal, put together, and we did a deal, a contract before, but they did not know what they were getting into either, but this guy did. That works for them. I wanted to have an avatar. I wanted to have a conversational avatar, just like you and I are doing right now. Sadly, I'm pretty well known. It's not egotistical, it's just me usually thinking out of the box, but I'm usually told I have no box. So I was trying to get really ahead of this. The technology was behind. And so it was stressful for me because every time we talked to people creating avatars around the world, different companies, they were in Holland, they were in Israel, other places, they could not synchronize it with the telecoms or their technology and software so that the lips would be in sync with what they're saying. And I felt it would be like cartoons. It would be very bad. We ended up finding later, we started out one company, we got rid of it, and I won't get into all the technical details, but just say that it didn't work well. So we thought about, step back, thought of another way of doing this. At the end result, we have a company that produces avatars. We got them to work with us to create a human-like looking avatar. Her name's Luxora. And so we created the name. And so we ended up taking our technology that I had already created, and then we had extended it to cover the ability, for example, on 3 levels. And one was on search, which no portal can do today, where you could search several hundred granular items. So just picture this. You could, in one sentence, say, I'm looking for a luxury home in Las Vegas priced between 3 and 5 million with about 3 or more bedrooms, with a pool that has a pebble tech surface, of 25-foot ceilings, and porch countertops on an island. In one sentence, I could actually search for all that. The hours it would take to do that in the portals is hours. Worse, you would have to go through so many photos to see all this. And I know one of the big portals right now is doing something called machine vision, where they're looking at these pictures, trying to extract these elements, but it's so way behind what we're doing. So on one level, we put together an architecture, which, by the way, we have submitted patents in both US and Canada with this architecture. And we figured out a way to take a luxury home and break it down into its parts, if you would. And then on top of that, we realized that we needed to be able to have, like, if you're going to shop for a luxury home, we wanted you to be able to go in to do a kind of a walkthrough in a way. You would go into a 3D tour of the room so you could scroll around the room and look while the avatar, like Sora, is talking to you. But she's not talking to you about this is 5 feet by 10 feet. She's actually talking to you how the seller uses that room and what were the advantages of it. So now you're getting an emotional connection that people said AI could never do, but it can. And we've proven that. Then the next part was, why did anyone even buy this home? What interested them? What did they do? They go over the world and buy doors from a monastery, which some clients have done. I mean, really unique stories. And so that's called a backstory. So we do all those 3 elements, if you would, and created a technology which is called VuHome, VuHome.ai. It's not yet ready for public access yet. It's sitting there. We're finalizing it now because it needs to work on mobile devices. It works well on desktop. We want the AI to work well on the mobile. And the avatar greets you. It'll greet you by name. She'll say, welcome back, Scott. Glad you're here. And you'll start interfacing. But what can I do for you? And if you said to her something like, would you tell me something about the Las Vegas area I'm relocating? What's the difference between Summerlin and Henderson? She'll tell you. She'll start telling you about the golf courses that are here. What are the parks that are here? So it becomes a travel log. And then secondly, you'd say, well, tell me about these homes. I'm looking for these different homes for sale. And she'll put up polygons and then show you what's in those neighborhoods for sale. Or you give it wider, she'll give you so much. And if you go too far, she'll tell you, you got to refine your search. So and make it more clear. Our project is in 4 phases, and future phases, she will actually learn working with you to be able to come back and suggest properties to you. That's the future we see. So the buyer agent, I know they don't like me for this, but the buyer agent has been to the point where we found that their value add was limited. And this basically says the buyer agent doesn't have to do what they used to do. The buyer, when they walk in, will know so much about those luxury homes that the buyer agent just has to write the contract, which we also envision in the future will be done with blockchain and automatically. We won't need as many buyer agents as you think in the future. The seller listing agent, on the other hand, now becomes the king and queen of the property, because they have to spend time actually interviewing and getting to know the seller in order to capture all that information into the AI system. So that's unusual. They don't do that. And we'll actually be teaching them how to do that. So that's the journey. And like I said, it's fascinating because now when you go in, you'll see, if you ask for room details, for example, she'll tell you the room details. Oh, but if it's one of our brokerage's listings, well, that's different. We have a lot more information to give you. And then she'll show you the rooms, and she'll put yellow stars between all these extra elements that you actually could voice search for. And that's just one example of the things we do. So that's the beginning of it. We decided, rather than populating the world with Luxury Realty Group all over the place, it is a trademark name. We said, what would be better? To make it basically a software as a subscription, basically, based, so a SaaS. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to license it to other brokerages. So we can actually take both MLS or listings, public listings, or off-market listings, and marry them to our technology and be able to bring the avatar to life for those properties. We think the marketing aspects of it would be really, really solid and strong.
Yeah, that's really exciting, and congrats for you for starting that. I'm just curious, where do you think realtors are a year from now or 5 years from now? Do we have realtors in 5 years? Does it look different than what we're traditionally seen?
I believe so. I think you're going to see with technology and AI, the way it's advancing so fast, is that you're going to see the whole set of roles drastically change. I mean, picture this. Even in our patents, we've conceived of these ideas. Eventually, you're going to probably have a hologram in your house talking to you. We envision things like this. We think that you're going to have, like the Matrix, almost some pretty cool technology coming. But I think AI is going to be so robust that the buyer agent's roles will become more transactional, and to a certain degree will be automated as well. It has to be under a license, of course, to do that. And then the listing agent is going to be more of a consultant type role and an advisory type role. And then they have to capture this information, which will get easier and easier. I will interject that when we sat down with our demo, we went to several listings and put them through this to test it. And we did focus groups with high net worth clients. I will tell you, when we did the focus groups, every one of these high net worth possible sellers, 100%, what shocked me, had nothing but praise for this. And they finally commented, thank God someone's finally doing something for us. I was really shocked. I just didn't expect it. So what will happen in the future, when we got to the backstories while we're building this thing, it took 2 years to build it, by the way, that the seller wanted to write their own backstories. I did not expect that level of participation. They actually adapted and joined this whole thing to do it. So back to your question, in 5 years from now, I think the portal's going to change significantly. There's no ways about it. And I think the number of real estate brokerages are going to shrink considerably. The efficiencies of AI are so significant that when we did our pro forma financials, we saw that we could go into a luxury market, a major city with luxury homes. We only needed about 20 to 25 agents. We didn't need hundreds and thousands. And that's a shock. They're not happy about hearing this, but that is what we see. The economies of scale are significant. And you can do more and more now with what we're doing. And I think the AI will get even better. Machine vision will allow you to look at video and pictures and eventually be so smart that it can identify every element in the home. So we can see that getting better and better over time.
So I want to talk to you a little about leads and how you talk about how you get those, but do you have a system in place to nurture those leads? And maybe if somebody's not ready to buy today, but kind of walk me through that process, whether it's a CRM tool or whatever, how you manage to keep those people in your pipeline.
Well, it's a challenge. I will be first to admit. If the leads come in, you happen to rank them, if you would, in terms of how soon and how serious they are. We do vet them to make sure financially they're able to purchase the properties they're thinking about in those price ranges, mostly in the luxury side. But we have to nurture them. So if they're not ready yet, our CRM system does do follow-up, and we have to reach out to them every so often. We are going to add some AI features to this in the future, where Luxor will actually start to reach out to them and talk to them, see if they're ready yet, what's changed about what they're looking for. And as we learn more about that, we'll be able to help zone in on properties as they come up, so they don't have to spend so much time looking themselves, but it would actually capture it. But the lead follow-up is really, really important.
Yep. So your CRM does that for you, or are you manually a part of that process?
It's a mixture. So we're having to add more technology on our own. The CRMs are just now starting to add AI features to them. But again, it's more the low-hanging fruit stuff, ChatGPT again, or changing verbiage, etc. It's not what I consider to be the robust AI that I envision will happen in 3 or 4 years. So, but the CRMs, I think, will radically change in the future. It'll get to know you. And kind of eerily in a way. I mean, to give you a joke for a second, when we were testing this thing about 6 months ago, we were putting in some different things on teaching the AI. You have to teach it, by the way, how to respond to these things. So in teaching it, we actually did an example. We said, well, we're searching for a 16-bedroom house, the price between this and that. And we did not teach this. And she comes back and she said, wow, that's a lot of house to clean. It kind of like, whoa, these things are learning and really starting to understand you, but also has some interesting perspectives, right?
Yeah, absolutely. As far as creating content, whether it's blogs or social media, emails, do you have a process for that?
Well, with when it comes to the emails, we're doing video email because the technology is so cold on the internet. We need that bonding ability. So it's critical that we send out, even when someone registers on our website, we send out an email thanking them and a video is with it and it comes from the agent. The client, the way we did this with our agents, when the prospect comes to our website, our core website, which is luxuryrealtygroup.com, they can actually designate what agent they want to work with. So that saved our agents having to create their own website. So we're already on page 1 right now, Google, for Las Vegas luxury real estate, and I wanted them to get advantage of that. So we did it this way, and then they follow up from there. But an email will kick off with the video from that agent, thanking them and nurturing them that way. And then just follow up, and you can set up all kinds of workflows, by the way, which AI is very good at this. You can do a lot of triggers and workflows to actually follow up and send out emails automatically. So, and you can teach it certain things and how to react. Over time, I see Luxora interacting with you and learning more about what you want, and then confirming that that's still what you're looking for, or maybe you want to make some changes. It's not there yet, but I see it within a year, starting to see it getting better and better.
So it sounds like you have a system in place, but are there any tasks that take up your time that don't generate revenue that you wish you had a system in place for, a tool for?
It has to do with people wanting to come into town and they don't know the area and they want you to kind of be a tour guide. We actually refer them out because 90% of the time they never buy anything. And so that consumes your time. But I've also got vendors driving me crazy trying to sell us stuff, especially in this current economy. They're all hurting, which I understand. And they're all trying to survive, right? So we're getting flooded. So I'm having to screen out calls and everything else right now and focus. But we did on purpose as a brokerage, only take on so many clients a month so we could give them first class service. Otherwise, we're not a company that says we want to take on 100 clients a month and volume and all that. We just did not want to be about that. And we do a lot of custom home building too, by the way, with our clients.
Okay. Is there any part of your business, like if you could wave a magic wand and get it figured out, it would make your life easier?
Well, I think the back office part of it, right? The accounting systems and all the follow up you do, administrative stuff, that area I wish would get better and better. But technology is kind of there. I see AI, by the way, as a virtual assistant, definitely stepping up to this. Right now, it's just too elementary, but I definitely see that as a big part. The more the back office can be running without me handling the accounting and all the financials part of it and all that, let me focus more on the higher tier managing the business is what we're looking for. That comes with growth. We had to spend a lot of time nurturing and creating Boo Home, which took a lot of time to do that. At the same time, keep the brokerage going with clients. But as time goes on, I definitely see needing the back office running and outsourced where we can with that stuff. And there's actually a couple of really good, I won't name them, but a couple of really good accounting firms now that are run almost all by AI. Pretty amazing. So they can ask you to submit this and this and this, and then it does all the stuff on the side.
Great. That's kind of where I wanted to talk about. I appreciate your time, unless you had anything else you wanted to bring up.
No, my pleasure. I know I talk a lot. My pleasure. I'm quite passionate about this. We're actually presenting Boo Home at the Vancouver Web Summit in May. And I just found out today it was 16,000 attendees, both investors and startups from all over the world coming to these things. I think Toronto used to call it Collision. It's the same people creating that are now going to have this, and they've done it in different cities. So Vancouver will be the next one. And they bring in startups and people doing, but so far, we're the only one at this level in the real estate space, which is kind of interesting. But I'm seeing AI making massive inroads into healthcare, legal, things like this. So, in fact, even when we wrote our patents, we actually discovered a company was experimenting with AI for lawyers, and we begged them to give us access, and they did. And it helped us write our patents, which was shocked my IP lawyer. And so he was able to take it from there versus a white sheet of paper. But he was actually able to take it and refine it with his knowledge and experience. So we can see where all this is going to change everything we know in everyday life.
Sure. Yeah. And that's the world I live in too. With our agency, we work with realtors just to try to, and I think you're probably ahead of the curve on this, but just how do we keep the sales funnel always full with qualified leads, but also following up with those people? Because I talk to realtors all the time ago, I just want to sell, but there's so many other things distracting me. It's really hard to do my job when I've got to make this video, I've got to create content, kind of the back office stuff you're talking about. So it's really a balance of, do I hire somebody to help me do some of these things, or can I implement AI into my business so I'm not always having to take care of these little tasks?
That's a great point. On the social media side, if there's any one challenge for us, it's that. Because we'll go out in the field and we'll film all these things, but now someone's got to edit them, put them together in a way that will attract people, right? Do the SEO part on the videos, all this. And we would love to outsource this. It's been hard to find anybody. They all claim it, but very few understand luxury real estate in our example. And therefore, they can mess it up and look like a cartoon or something. And that world is changing constantly. Right? When TikTok came out, you got to play to that. That's the one thing I hear from my agents. They complain about the effort and the time it takes to every month figure out what's the latest and greatest in social media. And how to keep up with it. And they don't want to be diverting their time to all of that. They want to be selling, but that is a selling mechanism, but you need somebody. So we've been looking to hire somebody on staff that does nothing but social media marketing for us. And AI probably will do that as time goes on, but right now it's still in its infancy for that type of thing.
Yeah, well, I have some ideas. So let me kind of put some thought into this and maybe reach out to you and kind of give you my thoughts and see if it made sense for some of the things that I've been seeing on my end and see if it's suited for you guys.
Sure. I'd be glad to do that.
Well, thanks, Bruce. It was really nice talking to you. I'll reach out here probably next week with some thoughts. And in the meantime, continued success to you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate the opportunity. It's a great meeting you as well. And just talking about the world is changing very fast.
It's exciting, and it's kind of to your point. It's in every industry. Even if you don't think it affects you, you're wrong, because at some point, if it's not now, it will very soon.
Oh, definitely. It's coming very fast. And even with us, we will think we know something, and then we'll find out a week later, AI's already done that in the past. So I got to figure out, oh God, now what do I do to leverage that? So it's a race. It really is a race.
I agree. Well, thanks again. I will talk to you soon then, Bruce.
Pleasure. Thank you. Have a great time. Great week. Thank you.